So in this version of the code, we are still using a list that provided. So this works because n is at most 500. So we were told that n is at most 500. So we can get this list somewhere and then put them in. But this is unsatisfying because computers are supposed to do all this computation to figure out which number is a triangular number. So why should we find out what numbers are triangular number and put them here? And also, this wouldn't really work if n can be very big. For example, if n is up to 1 billion, then this list will be very large. So, so the next approach we're going to try is to generate the triangular number. Let computer do the computation. So encourage you to try to do that. Think about how you would do it before going forward with the video. Okay, so here is one approach where we loop using the for loop. We will go up to n. So this is technically not necessary because triangular number that's no bigger than n will for the I will only up to, I think it should be around square root of n. But as we're going to see, that's not going to be important. So what we are trying to do is we generate each triangular number, and then we compare that triangular number with n. And there are two cases. The triangular number may be less than n, in which case we just need to increment I to consider the next triangular number. Or it may be equal, in which case we have found it, the answer should be yes. Or the triangular number we look at is bigger than n. And at that point, it means that n is not a triangular number because n is less than the current triangular number. And if equal to a triangular number, if it is a triangular number, it should equal one of the earlier ones, and we should have already ended this search. So the strategy is we'll be keep generating every triangular number, and we will stop when the triangular number is either greater than or equal to n. And then depending on which case, we're going to output either yes or no. So this is logic for doing that. So we first compute the ith triangular number, and then we check if it's less than n. Then we want to skip the rest of this loop. So we will just go back to the beginning of the loop and add 1 to I. So basically consider the next number in the range, and then compute the next triangular number. So that's what the continue statement does. So on the next slides, we define continuous statement a little bit more, I guess, precisely. So what it does is it will skip the remaining statements in the loop body, and it will go to the beginning of the loop to check whether another iteration is needed. So to understand that, I want you to make sure you can tell what is the output of this code. So let's run it on online GDB. So these should print some numbers between 1 and 9. The question is which number got printed. Actually, yeah, tried this earlier. If we run it, let's see. Okay, so yeah, so I guess when I write the code, so sometimes I use on the slide, sometimes it's indentation, sometimes it's white space. So I should use the same thing. Okay. So as we can see, 1, 2 are printed, but 3 is not. So that's because in the code here, we will check if I is a multiple of 3, we will skip the rest of the loop body, which is just a print statement. So we will skip this rest of body for 3. When I is 3, we'll skip print statement when we go back to here. And so we print out all the number between 1 and 9 that are not multiple of 3. So let's actually change this to 4 space. So with that, we can understand this code. If the triangular number is less than n, we just go to the next triangular number. So we use continue. So when the execution reaches this point, that means the triangular number will be either greater than n or equal to n. When it is equal to n, we want to set the answer to yes. And no matter it's greater than or equal to n, we want to break. So because we have checked all the triangular numbers that are relevant, so then we just print the answer. So when we exit the loop, there are really two possibilities. One is triangular number equals n, in which case answer is set to yes. So when we print the answer, we are printing yes. Or when a triangular number is bigger than n, in which case the answer remains default value no. So we'll just be printing no. So this is one way to do it, and using this continue statement. So I want to show one more way to do it. So this is the last version we're going to show for this problem. So here we use a while statement instead of for loop. So we start from I equals 1, and then we'll be keep computing the triangular number until this triangular number is no longer less than n. We'll keep increment I by 1 while we compute this. And once we exit the loop, this means that the condition in the while condition must not be satisfied, because if it is true, we'll be still in the loop. So that means this number must be either greater than or equal to n. Then we print different things just based on which case is it. So if it's equal to n, we print yes. Otherwise, we print no. Oh, to recap, so for this problem, we spend a lot of time because we introduced the important concept of loops. So before that, we introduced the in operator for checking an element in a list. So we also the count function for list, count the number of times an element occurs. We introduced a for loop, either a for loop over a list or for loop over range. We also introduced a while loop, and introduce the break and continue, these two statements that alternate, that changes the control flow, changes which line gets executed next inside the loop. And for programming techniques, we introduce how to count the number of occurrences of element. So basically, we maintain a counter that initializes to 0, and every time we see this, we add 1 to it. And also, we use this default value. So we assign some default value for something, and then we are checking some condition. When the condition is met, we change the value. So then after everything is done, then we will the value will be what we wanted.